Hello, hello, this is Paper Cuts Included coming to you live from the Ninja Turtle Sleeping Blanket. And this is going to be the first in a series called Miller Fridays, where we're going to look at some Miller books every Friday. It's going to be an under the microscope style where we look at it, talk about it technically, stuff like that. If this is your first ever Paper Cuts Included video, this is a comic book YouTube channel ran by 3 working artists who talk about artwork, talk about comic books, comic book art, art in general, artists, and we look at books under a technical aspect. If you want more of a story review, this isn't really the place to be. I will talk about story, but it's kind of an 80-20 split. 80% is me talking about the book technically, and 20 is the story. That being said, to show off my artist, I'll show a piece I'm working on right now. I like to do a lot of prints, and I'm working on this little Tomb King Warhammer inspired print where it has some font, or it's going to have some text from an old Warhammer commercial I found. So there's that. So today we're going to be looking at Frank Miller's Ronin #1, probably his black sheep when it comes to some of his more popular works. Now I know Holy Terror is probably the biggest black sheep of his library, but I don't think we'll ever talk about Holy Terror. So we're going to talk about probably his second most black sheep, being Ronin. Before that, though, I'm going to show you a pickup I got. I don't know if this could... I thought about making this a whole pickup video on what I got, but I didn't think it was big enough. It is one of my holy grails of collecting, and it is Dark Horse Insider Volume 1, Number 12. It is the first ever appearance of Nixon, the hard-boiled character created by Jeff Darrow and Frank Miller. That's what I'm putting in this video. This story that he's in is a Frank Miller story. It's my favorite Jeff Darrow book of all time, and I wish we could look at that book. But there's a couple of images in it that I don't think YouTube would like me showing off, and I don't really want to risk it. Maybe someday, but hey, this is one of the greatest synopses. Cyborg tax collector experiences minor glitch. Current death toll 500. Frank Miller and Jeff Darrow are kicking butts and taking names in their all-new series, Hard Boiled. And it's got one panel in it that I can show off. It is an amazing book. It was my first ever Jeff Darrow introduction, and the reason I fell in love with his artwork. And this is a hanger book, or not even a book, advertisement that they probably gave out for free at comic book stores. I am framing this right after this video and putting it next to my Rusty sketch and my big guy screen print. But here's a little panel for you. It is amazing. I think once you're out of high school, read it. I don't want to get in trouble in saying high schoolers should read it, but it is a great book. Art-wise, story-wise, it's interesting, but you read it for the art, and this is how I prefer Jeff Darrow's art, is this black and white style and his amazing lettering that he does with the vroom, going through the car. It's incredible what he can do with a pen and pencil. And maybe once we get Big Damn Hard Boiled, I will just look at some specific pages of Hard Boiled. So there's my, little popper of a pickup video. I thought about making this a little popper Sunday video, but I figured it'd go good with Miller Friday too. And let me put it back in its bag, because I don't want to mess it up any. Yep, I think one of my goals in collecting is get any and every hard-boiled kind of format. So I need the trade still. I need the Nixon statue they made, but I got one of the bigger ones, this Dark Horse Insider. Since, it's got that kayfabe effect, I think, where it popped up in price really fast once they did a little episode on it. But let's pop open this book. But before that, let's look at the cover. And it has got this really classic wraparound cover with, we got our main character, the Ronin, and Agat. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. Comment down below, you said it wrong. But I'm very curious to see if this is what inspired Eastman and Laird on the Leonardo cover with the, shredder head in the background. I'm sure it did. I know Frank Miller was a really big inspiration on them. So, surely. But do I think it's a good cover? I think it's probably one of the most iconic Miller covers. Say what you will about this book. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite, and a lot of people probably forget it if you're not an in-depth Miller fan like me. But I think it's very iconic and very of its time, with these harsh, hot tones and, the cross-hatching to the extreme. It's great. It's amazing. I think it's a 9 out of 10 cover. 7 to 9 out of 10. I can see why people would, not pick it up, but the font's great. It's that classic black and white. It's going to pull you in, and you're going to be wondering what this cover is. You're going to think it's a samurai book like I did when I first read it, but I think it's a very successful cover. My personal experience with Ronin, I think I read the first issue in 10th grade and did not like it. I loved the first part. But once I realized it was going to be more of a sci-fi book, this is when I was head in deep with samurai. Like, I just watched Samurai Champloo. I just wanted to make samurai comics, which I still need to try to do. I was all into Usagi, so seeing them go to the future, it was also before I really got my Frank Miller kick. It was years before I ever checked out Sin City, and I didn't like Dark Knight at the time. I don't like things that are super popular. I've always been, once it gets popular enough, I'm going to ditch it, because I'm not a bandwagon person. For some things, So I read the first issue, and I was like, I don't want to read anymore, knowing that it stopped being a straightforward, in the, Shogun era samurai. But I reread it today, actually. I really liked it. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series. So let's break her open. And this is, Proto Dark Knight, Proto Sin City, I believe. So it's really neat to see him and Lynn Varley grow as artists, in this, I believe the cartoonist kayfabe says boot camp of Ronin. And I know Frank Miller loves samurai books. I know he's a huge fan of the Lone Wolf and Cub series. He's done a bunch of covers for that when it came to America. So I understand why he wanted to do a Ronin book. And let's get in. There's a lot of good things to talk about with this book. The coloring by Lynn Varley. Lynn Varley's a great, what do you call it, colorist? I'm probably colorist. She is a great, colorist. I think, she's on the Mount Rushmore colorist. I can't really tell you a whole lot of others, but hers always stands out with these really, painterly, pastel-y blues or oranges. This deep blue. I think it really helps Miller's art. Sometimes colorists can really hinder the art, but I think he really, she really builds on his artwork. If color won't add anything, don't try to not do it. Color can ruin a great black and white piece, like I talked about with Jeff Darrow's artwork. So just keep that in mind. Your stuff doesn't have to have color. Draw the same page 3 times, color 1, black and white 1, crosshatch 1, or, something along the lines, and figure out which one makes which one works the best, and build off of that. That's my philosophy. Like, I just did a watercolor of a page, a Posca marker of a page, and just a pencils and inks of a page. And I like the Posca markers the best, so I'm going to try to hit that. But no. And this is probably going to be a longer video, because the artwork's just too much to talk about. And he even does really good panel work, where it's not straight lines like a standard comic. It has weight to it, and I think that really adds to it. I don't know why, but when I noticed it first thing, and I'm like, ooh, that's cool. So just always experiment with your panel work. How are you going to do your gutters? Just experiment. And see, we'll talk about story for a second. It is about our young, green behind the ears samurai with his master, and his master's a little full-hearted, and we can tell our samurai's he's scared his master's going to get assassinated or something, which he has every right to, because they get attacked by 3 assassins, and Frank Miller's busting his chops with some amazing action panels. you know, just ragdolling all this, just great. Lynn Varley also great color usage. This is a really good panel right here, you know, with that white, with the red. It's just great, you know, very dynamic, very easy to flow. This is why I love the first issue, because I thought the other five, the whole 6-issue series was just gonna be this, and that he fights a demon in this, not, you know, they're in the, I get, sort of future, but it's still good, you know, it's incredible. You know, don't just make all your pages look like this. Experiment. Figure out what you can do, because it's really going to help the reader flow with the book, you know? That shadow a little. Yeah, let's try that. Sorry if that was too dark. But no, and then the lettering's awesome. Joe Costanza, I believe, is the letterist. Yep, John. Did I say Joe? I think I said John. You know, I think he really does some really good typography, really good, you know, dialogue bubbles. I think it's really good. And then we got freaking Frank Miller doing these great little just ink, you know, dots. It's so good. And trust me, it is hard to do that. Or at least you're going to get frustrated when it doesn't look like that. But experiment. You know, draw 2 pages and just experiment with your background. I feel like that's the takeaway from Frank Miller artwork, is experiment. Try to figure out what is great. Because it looks incredible the way he does it. And he doesn't overdo it. It's, what, 1, 2, or just 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, pages of it. Or panels, I'm sorry. But it's incredible how it works, you know? I think Frank Miller is a very good, I don't know if I'd say jack of all trades, but really good at experimenting with panel work. You know, look how he's done Sin City. Look how he's done this. Look at how he's done Dark Knight, which that'll have to be a video too. Maybe that'll be a grand finale of Miller Fridays, because there's only so much Miller stuff to look at. But no, it's, you know, his artwork's incredible, and I've got to try to talk about more of a technical aspect than a fanboy. And, you know, he utilizes this hatching really well, where we see it loose, tighter, tightest. Someone don't clip that. And that, you know, that's what they told us in art school. That, like, this is, you know, when you're taking basic drawing and you have to draw some squares and show different hatchings, like, this is it. And it works so well. You know, like, don't underestimate how hatching or simple line weight usage could look. Because if you can knock it out and make it look really good, you got Ronin, baby. You got Ronin. You know, and don't oversimplify buildings. Like, Frank's done a really good job of doing these, you know, classical pieces. They're just good, you know? Just try it. Experiment. Figure out what you like, what you don't like. Use every medium you can. Don't just, you know, don't say, I've been drawing with a pencil all my life, so I'm, you know, I'm the best at it. Try painting. Try printmaking a comic. Try, you know, hell, maybe some weird ceramic process. You know, like, experiment. Because I promise you're going to find a medium you like. I never thought I'd like printmaking, but that's part of my love now, is drawing and printmaking. Like, I'm as big a printmaker as I am a comic maker, you know? So we flip a page, they're successful. So the samurai's having I guess a celebration party where they buy a lady of the night. And so, you know, he wants to celebrate with her. He tells his bodyguard, the Ronin, or I guess the samurai at this point, to stay outside. And he disagrees with that because he's like, you have enemies everywhere. And he should have heeded his call. Really good lettering right there. Typography, you know, really good. And because it turns out, here's our first look at our little demon guy. Agag? Agog. Ah, crap. Is it Agag? We're just going to call him Demon, okay? So I don't have to remember his name. This is one of my few complaints about the story, is I don't really like his design that much. Like, I love the face, but I don't like the overly muscular body. Like, if he's supposed to be a shapeshifter, I wish they got more creative than it. And, like, the legs are good, you know, like that's creative. It's demon legs or something. But I wish the body just didn't look like the mutant leader from, you know, Dark Knight. You know, make him shapeshift. Make him have like a big arm, a little arm, 3 arms. I don't know. Just do something. That's my only one of my complaints with this book. But what a great usage of color by, you know, Varley. You know, they do so good with all these warm tones. You know, just utilize that. Don't just do solid black. You can, you know, Frank Miller surely did in Sin City, but also remember that you can use different colors. That's why it's called color theory. You know, like I said, draw 5 pages, do 5 different color tones. If it takes 1,000 pages to get it right, it takes 1,000 pages to get it right. Comic book making ain't easy, and it ain't supposed to be. But no, this was always one of my favorite panels. Just like that grimace, I always try to figure out how to redraw that. But I for some reason, I never thought to try to do these little, you know, hash marks. I just drew the outline. I was like, what? Why is it missing? But that's one of my favorite panels. You know, and he's being creative by having the demon with the Ronin cut into this panel and also that into that. Like, it's creative. It's, you know, I don't know. Just a lot of people don't do that. And that's something that we as artists should always try to experiment. And the gutters look so good. Like, you could tell they're simple. He just went in with probably a brush because you can see he didn't do all, it bleeds in that one. So, you know, your gutters don't have to be super tight or super, you know, don't make them sloppy by any means, but they, you know, think out the box. So he fails to kill the demon, and the demon leaves, but not before giving our Ronin this Ronin scar, you know. So the Ronin, feeling defeated by not being able to save his master or killing the demon, wants to commit a wants to get, I don't know if YouTube will let me say that. He wants to do something. I'll just say that. I don't know how YouTube feels about that. So, you know, we're just looking at art. Just looking at art. And before he does it, the spirit of his master just stops him. I really like how they do the spirits thought bubbles. They're very ghostly with hints of blue in it, you know. Another good panel right there. I don't know. It's just good. It's just good. And we finally, probably one of our first uses of cool tones. Or no, I'm sorry. They use a bunch of cool tones at nighttime. But in the daytime, using these cool tones to represent, you know, almost death, passing, you know, stuff like that. Like, Lynn Varley, I love her coloring. And she's really shown how good she is in just this book. But no, here we get the quest. You must try, you know, he has to travel the wilderness like a dog, honing his skills, and then once he's a mighty warrior, will come back to you know, defeat the demon, and then he can join his master in death. Because at the beginning of the book, the samurai is like, that is the greatest thing to do, is to die with my master, you know. And now we jump to the part that confused me on my first read-through, is now we're in the modern day, or the future, and we, you know, it was a dream, Billy, it was a dream. And so we get this very futuristic looking guy, and I read this before Hard Boiled too, so, you know, I don't know why I said that. It's just, I think I read this before I read Akira, before I read Hard Boiled. It was one of my first sci-fi comics like this, and I didn't really like it at the time. You know, my sci-fi was Star Wars, so seeing this kind of newish take to it, where it's in the future, but it's a plausible future, or it's a timepiece, you know what I mean? And it kind of rubbed me off the wrong way. Now that's one, or I guess a cyberpunky approach. Cyberpunky I was like on the fence about, but cyberpunk's become one of my favorite genres to look at. You know, Hard Boiled, Akira, Martha Washington, and now maybe Ronin. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully the rest of the series doesn't sour like that other book, Ronin, that people are going to hate me for not liking. First issue is great, but, you know, your main villain looks like a Power Ranger by the end. So let's keep looking. But yeah, no, here we got, you know, Billy and he's, dreaming apparently, and he's got some friends coming in this futuristic tank, and we get to see the look of our setting, right? In this beautiful, 2-page spread of New York, talking, and that's some, like, almost Martha Washington-esque talk. I wonder if, like, Ronin, like, I guess Frank Miller just really likes cyberpunk, or just likes those themes, because, he's done this, he's done Hard Boiled, he's done Martha Washington, he must love that as I wonder if he likes Akira. I need to see if he's ever said anything about that. But I think, this is, not the best 2-page spread, but a really good 2-page spread in this book, because I don't remember if it's 2-page spread coming up, but we'll see how it does. Like he does really good of showing off how he does good at showing, but not over showing. Like, yes, that is very detailed, but it's not Darrow level technical, and it works. The city, you can chalk it up to the city's covered in smog, or something's happened and you can't see it. What you can see horrifies you enough. You see probably cannibalism happening. You're seeing that's pretty much a skeleton. Like, someone looked at their Mr. Bones. You got this such sad face, and buildings on fire, and they're driving a literal armored tank to get from point A to point B. So something's happened. Something. And then we got this weird thing. This was probably the page that turned me off the most. I was like, oh my god, what am I reading on my first read through? And there's not a whole lot to talk about. Really good city scenes, very crude, but it works. I think there's supposed to be some metaphor with the shape of this building. And if you know what it is, let me know in the comments. I couldn't tell you what it is. I think maybe Kayfabe might have picked up on it. But yeah, odd color usage, just having the truck just that harsh red. I don't know. It just bugs me. So now we get, our future characters doing a business tour of their facility, and how it's supposed to be impenetrable. It's got these lasers that if you don't enter the command, they'll cut you to bits. You're going on an elevator that if you don't, also enter the command in, it drops you and kills you. They have human guards with these giant weapons, so really playing up how impenetrable it is. So, if you're catching on to that theme, they're meeting the digital computer lady, Virgo, which is my birth month, or sign, is that what you call it? And now we get to see what Billy can do. He is a limbless individual, but yet with his mind, he can manipulate these cybernetic giant arms and do incredible things. And they're trying to sell to, I guess, the New York government that they should invest in it, and that, they can use it for police work or military work, as they're putting Billy back to sleep. I wonder if they wanted to touch, or if they're going to touch more on that, about how Billy, which I don't think they are if you read it. Based on how I see this issue ending, they just keep putting to sleep. So I know if they only wake him up when they need him. But no, now we go back to a really amazing 2 pages of color, of cool and red tones when it needs to be. We see this woman, with her baby. She's cold, she's hungry, she's asking if there's a castle, and we get some bandits who only want her for female things. And now we get our new, Stranger, You Are Samurai, and then Ronin. That reminds me of the Ninja Turtle panel where it's like, is it Raphael's thinking into the base in the first issue, and the crook's like, ninja, and I think the response is turtle. So I wonder if that was what created this, was this book. So, like, you can see why I love this part and not the futuristic as a kid. I just wanted more of this. It was incredible. I'd never seen a book like it. Frank Miller's done some weird, questionable things in the past 10, 20 years, but you can't argue that his art has really stood the test of time from this era. I know a lot of people hate his newer covers, But you gotta give him some credit. He's like an 80-year-old man. He shakes when he talks. He can't draw as good as he used to. But, you know, incredible. Using these hot tones, using the hatching to show movement, show that it's a storm, you know. The subtle redness in his eyes, like you can tell he's been he's been around. You know, what's it? He says 15 years here. Remember that. He says he's been traveling for 15 years, honing his skills. And we get this amazing stippling again. And his former master comes back with the same really good, ghostly speech bubbles. And I guess one of the big story elements I didn't say is to kill the demon. The blade has had to taste innocent blood. You have to kill an innocent person because evil cannot defeat evil. So he needs to first kill an innocent woman, just an innocent person, so that may drink innocent blood. And so we think real quick that he's going to kill this innocent woman and her kid. And he tells her that she is not innocent enough and the boy's not big enough. This is not her kid. This is not her husband's kid, and her husband threw her out. So, in Frank Miller's idea, that's not innocent enough. Really good way to draw trees too, just some solid movements, you know. And here's where I get my Mandela effect with this book, because I could have sworn that there's a full, like, one-page panel of this rat just standing at the gate with both his arms on his hip, you know, and it's a full, like, it's just a big shot of the rat monster. I could have sworn that. Maybe that was a trade I read. It was an extra page. Let me know if I'm crazy or if I'm, maybe that'll be a new artwork I do. Which I do. This character is crazy. A four-armed rat monster who has 4 different weapons. I wonder if that was the inspiration for Splinter. Probably was. But we get to see a great short battle. If this was a Marvel book, this battle would be maybe 1 or 2 issues. But this whole book would probably be like 4 issues. Like each time they go to the past, that's an issue. And each time in the future is an issue. But yet, Frank Miller condenses this into about 40 pages. Does it say how many pages? 48 pages. So, be fair, 2 issues. If they split it, but he didn't. But doing 48 pages each book, whew! I get why they say it's a boot camp. And just a great action, great color usage by Lynn Varley. I do think that's like a Castle Grayskull kind of homage. I wonder if Frank saw Castle Grayskull and was like, that's pretty cool. So we get this quick battle, and then we get this. I don't like this 2-page spread. I think it's a little confusing on what happens. I had to read it like 3 times to get what had happened. But it's still great. The hatching's amazing. Like I said, try hatching. See how you like it. It is an art, and you're not going to get it right the first time. And you're going to get mad they don't get it right the first time. So just try it. Because it'll, it can really add to your artwork. Some really nice hatching. So he finally makes it to the demon, and he is weak. He is battered. The demon's not even trying to fight him. He just gets behind him, ready to kill him. And I love how he's crawling, like almost crawling down the stairs. He can taste his victory. He knows he's getting the sword back. That's such a cool villain moment. It's just cool how he just crawls, like, menacingly. Oh no, I wish they did more of that at the beginning, where they showed less of him. Like, he's supposed to be a shapeshifter, so put him more in the shadows. Don't make him this big, chonky villain like in that panel where they're fighting for the first time. You know, just, you don't have to show everything, which they accomplish here. I just wish they did it earlier. You know, and we get more of this awesome like ink splots, which I would love to see how I'm sure he just threw ink at it. You know, I'm gonna have to try that. Hopefully, my wife, I don't make a mess. And you know, he doesn't even draw the sword super straight. It's you know, it's this awesome looking shape that I'm sure irritates the crap out of some people, but I think it looks good. And some really good lettering from Joe Costanza, or Costanza. I'm just gonna say Costanza. And you know what's gonna happen? Is he gonna like break his neck or something? But we probably get one of, if not the most iconic next page from this. This awesome, the samurai sacrifices himself to kill the demon. Like, it's incredible. I'm sure this is one of Frank Miller's most expensive originals if he ever sold it. You know, I would love to see how big it is. I'd love to see the pencils of it. Is there an art edition of Ronin? If there is, I'd love to look at it. That'd be a good Miller look too. But no, they could have ended the book right here. Well, if they cut out the, you know, future stuff. Like, this easily could have been a one-shot. And, you know, we think the Ronin has finally triumphed. We think that, you know, he sacrificed a good man to kill a demon. And the demon curses him no. And he traps both of them in the sword. But let's just look at this more. Like, it's just incredible. Like, the whiteness of the teeth versus the blackness of the demon's teeth. You know, in a way, I think that's supposed to signify the innocence, that he's a man, versus the demon with his black, jagged teeth. You know, the more earthy tones of the Ronin versus the hot tones of the demon, like hellfire. And, you know, near death, he has that reddish look, like he's going into the void. You know, it's incredible, you know. If I ever buy another copy of Ronin, I'll just frame this panel, because it's incredible, you know, and it's great. I could fanboy all night about this page, you know, how I think just a solid color background really works, and this outlaw comic style Black Blood is incredible too, you know, the great hatching, you know, just, you always need a showstopper panel, and this is this book's showstopper panel in my opinion. I think when this book came out, people just talked about this 2-page spread, you know, and that's my opinion. Hey, I was born in 2002, so I can't tell you where I was for a lot of major comic book events. But no, we go again, and now we go back to the modern day, and Billy's starting to freak out a little bit. Yeah, I wonder why. Turns out the demon's back. How? Well, we'll see soon enough. Now our Billy character is getting this Ronin scar on him, you know, and a great way to draw a computer monitor screen, like, or, you know, like I said, keep him in the shadows like that. Keep his figure a little mysterious, and then do this awesome page, you know. And before I forget, you know, this green coloring, it reminds me of Dave Gibbons' coloring in Martha Washington. So I wonder if Miller told Gibbons to maybe take that futuristic look, like this coloring, in a way. Yeah. Well, and all those impenetrableness we talked about, the human guards, dead. The laser that's supposed to cut you to bits if you go through them, doesn't work. The elevator that's supposed to kill you, he can control it somehow, and he's just going up. That the military leader, she gets cut by the bird, you know, that he can transfer into the Ronin. You know, now we're getting this. This is pretty interesting, you know. I don't know if I made it this far in my first read through. I think I was just really turned off by the future looks from, you know, I might have, no, I'm sure I read it to the sacrifice, but that might have been the last page I read and just treated it as a one-shot. You know, and now we've got Billy getting these really hot tones as he's metamorphing and fighting the demon, you know? Like, it just looks really good. You know, not as good as the samurai pieces, but still good in their own right. The demon looks incredible. You know, do like this is how I show him. Don't show all of them. You know, he's a demon. And so Billy escapes, and the demon's confused. Well, why is this little place I'm in? Why is it glowing? You know, and we get this payoff really fast, but not before we get this awesome look at all these ink blots, you know, that Miller did, and it looks incredible. I'm really gonna have to try that. Sorry if I made a mess, future me. And what happens? He gets blown up and blown out of here like a ballpark grand slam. Probably the most cartoony thing in this book is him just going, you know, well, Wile E. Coyote blown up style. And good riddance on that little base. I didn't like it. Oh my god, I just realized I skipped 2 pages. When I read it today, for some reason I flipped it like that. Huh. And you see, I wondered, you know, I was like, oh, that's a weird way to end a book. You know, how are you supposed to know that's the new Ronin? Oh, crap. I feel like an idiot now. I'm gonna have to reread it now. Very Akira-looking thing with the tunnel, you know? I don't know, I guess I'm flabbergasted that yeah, so it's the aftermath of the explosion. They say Billy's missing. Yeah, and we got Billy / Ronin's back. You know, this is our new Ronin. So that is Frank Miller's Ronin #1. Also another really, I think this is the cover for a lot of the trades. So, you know, like I said, I think this is one of Miller's black sheeps of his comics. I don't know if I'd say people complain about it, but I think it just falls short when people compare it to Sin City and Dark Knight, you know, which I don't blame them. You know, Sin City's my #1, and then I don't know where I'd put Dark Knight versus this. I know, sacrilegious, right? Not saying Dark Knight's not the best, but you know me, I different. So there's that. I think it was a great book. I think it's a good first issue. I think it really hits on those keys. It's gonna have me definitely read the next one. It really changed my opinion on my first read of it. I actually liked it this time instead of turning my nose and being like, this isn't a samurai book. What is it? You know? So I'll, you know, next Friday, either, I don't know. I think next Friday we're going to look at the 2nd issue of Give Me Liberty. But who knows? Maybe I can't hold off on not talking about Ronin too. So let me know what you want more in the comments. Do you want more Ronin or do you want more Martha Washington? Because it's up to you. And if no one comments, I'll decide. And maybe I'll do neither. Who knows? But if you made it to the end of this video, thank you. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps us out. We're really kind of inching our way towards 24 hours of watch time on the channel. And I think that's really cool that a whole day's worth of time has been watched on my videos. So I think that's cool. I think I might play around with a live stream soonish where I just draw or do a drawing video. I don't know. We'll teeter on that. But no, if you liked it, you know, comment what you like. Comment what your favorite Frank Miller book is. Comment if you hate this book, if you like this book. You know, I've had some really great comments from all of our comments have been great. You know, there's never, you know, it's a great community to be in. From the Cartoonist Kayfabe community, from Reddit that's followed me, from Instagram people that followed me. If you just found this channel randomly, thank you. I hope you like it. If there's something I can do better, let me know. I know my audio might be a little weird. Microphone I was using, turns out I think it was a dud and not working. So I'm just using my phone's audio, and I should be getting a new professional microphone this Sunday. So hopefully half of next week's videos, because I film these in advance. So after this, I'm filming next Monday and Tuesday's video. But next Wednesday's video, hopefully there's an audio difference for the better. If, you know, my audio has been a little funky. So, you know, this is Friday's video, so hope you guys have a good weekend. Like I said, this is a comic book channel where I post Monday to Friday, every day, 10 a.m. So we got over 20 videos now to check out. I do videos where I talk about what books I just bought, Under the Microscope, tips and tricks, which I'm planning to do one on covers pretty soon. So a whole lot for everyone. And I guess I'll send you on to marching orders, and I'm out of here. Make more art.